My boyfriend referred to this series as the Walmart brand Maze Runner, and I could not stop laughing my head off after he said that. Hey guys, Melinda here. Today is going to be a little bit different. I am actually going to be talking about 3 different movies. I'm going to be talking about the Divergent series, so that includes Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant. And I thought about maybe doing 3 different movie reviews, but we ended up just watching them back to back to back in 3 days. I thought, why not just lump them all together and do one giant movie review? And for that reasoning, I will be talking some specifics about the films, but mostly we'll be talking on a general broad basis. For those of you who have not seen my movie reviews, I like to review the movies in a way that doesn't give any spoilers, and because it is a series, I definitely don't want to be spoiling anything specific about the films or the stories. I will just be referencing what is in the trailers, so you can go watch the trailers and that is what they give you, so it's not really spoilers, but I won't be going in depth of anything like that. And for that reasoning as well, we will not be watching the trailers in this movie review just because that would take so much time to watch 3 different trailers, so if you're interested, I recommend going and watching them. If you haven't already, I know I'm a little late to the party. Let's get into the movie review. So I'm just gonna briefly summarize what each of the films are about just to kind of give you guys an idea. So in the Divergent trailer, it's about Shailene Woodley. We kind of briefly learn that she's living in a society that filters them based on their personality traits, called factions. It is the day that they are supposed to be sorted into their things and they take a test. It's kind of like an aptitude test, like telling you what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life, but telling you what faction you file into. She goes in for her test and she jolts out of it, and the test proctor is telling her the test didn't work on you. It's called Divergent, which means that she doesn't fit into any one of the factions, and divergence is a threat to the society that they live in. Shailene Woodley is just trying to disguise herself into one of the factions and not letting the higher power know that she is divergent, because they are out to get all divergent because they believe they are a threat. So that's pretty much the basis of the first movie. And when you go into the second movie, Insurgent, in the trailer it shows this box that the big higher power, who is played by Kate Winslet, there's like some kind of answers to how the world is gonna look, the future, society, all that kind of stuff. She finds out that the only people that can open the box are divergent. So she has sent out a manhunt to get all the divergent people to come take this test to open the box. Shailene Woodley and her group of friends and rebels, they're on the run because they don't want Shailene Woodley's character to get caught and have to go open this box. While they're on the run, they meet up with the faction list. The best way I can describe them is they're kind of like the homelessness in our society. They're the people that fell out of their factions, and once you do that, you are basically shunned from the society and you can't join any other faction, so you become factionless. We see that the group of them go meet up with the faction list. They allude to the idea that they're going to start a war, go after Kate Winslet and all of those higher power people. And then Allegiant is the last and third movie of the Divergent series, and I honestly thought that this was the worst trailer to show what happened about this film. I watched the trailers after watching the film, so I already knew what I was looking for. I just wanted to make sure I didn't talk about anything specific. But this was definitely the worst trailer. It shows you absolutely nothing about what happens in the film. What they kind of allude to in the trailer, we discover Chicago is where they live, the city Chicago. There is a giant wall barrier around them, and there are people outside of the wall that is watching them. Shailene Woodley's character and like her group of people, they go on the other side of the wall and they find these people and they accept them into their society, and basically just what the trailer shows is them going over to the wall, joining their society, and then they're now at war. That's basically the trailer. There you go. That is the general consensus of what the Divergent series is about. So now I'll go into some specifics. Again, kind of will be talking on a broad basis just because I am talking about the series collectively. I would rate the series in order from the first to the third, the best film to the worst film. I thought Divergent was good. It was very eye-catching and interesting, intriguing. Then Insurgent kind of got me to lose a little bit of interest, but still kind of like, where are they going with the story? The way that they ended the second movie, I honestly had no idea what the third movie was going to be about. Just because the second movie, they kind of tied everything up and you could have ended the series there and it would have been fine. And then that kind of leads into one of my thoughts about Allegiant, and that's, I honestly thought this could have been its own movie. And that's probably my biggest critique about it, is they introduced this new world and this new society in the third film just kind of out of the blue. It was about 30 minutes into the film and I had this conversation with my boyfriend, and that's, this society that they introduced to should have been mentioned in the second film. It just made no sense and it felt misplaced and just odd. Oh, also, I should take note that I have never read the books. I do have an interest now that I've seen the films, just mostly because I want to compare the two and see what's different and what they kept in. So when I am talking about these films, I'm just talking about the films because I have no idea what happens in the books. That is probably one of the reasons why it was harder for me to review these films, because I have nothing to compare the two. So if there's things that I'm talking about that get addressed in the books, I have no idea. I'm just, as an outsider, I didn't really know what this series entailed, never read the books. These are just my thoughts on the movies. Now that we got that out of the way, let's continue. The society and the outside world from outside of the wall should have been introduced in the second film. Again, no idea if it's mentioned in the books. That is still one of the biggest things that I would say, is that you need to introduce it sooner, because it felt wrong. The way that they tied up the end of the second film, it could have been a standalone film basically. It could have been a different story. It didn't feel like it tied in to the Divergent series. I was kind of picking up on this as I was watching the films. My boyfriend said that this series is the Walmart brand of the Maze Runner, which I thought was absolutely hilarious and accurate, and I had the exact same thought. He just put it into much better words than I would have. I'm just quickly looking up the timeline of when the Divergent series came out versus the Maze Runner series. The Maze Runner, the book, came out in 2009. The Scorch Trials, which is the second one, came out in 2010, and the third one, Death Cure, came out 2011. The Maze Runner, the movie, came out 2014. Maze Runner Scorch Trials came out 2015. Maze Runner Death Cure came out 2018. Wow, 3 years. Weird. Divergent, the book, came out in 2011. Insurgent came out in 2012. Allegiant came out 2013. And the movies, Divergent came out 2014, Insurgent came out 2015, and Allegiant came out 2016. So the movies came about the same time, but the books came out separately. The first was Maze Runner, and honestly that was like the biggest thing that I compared it to, is that it felt like the Maze Runner but just a little bit different. Not that I'm suggesting anything, but could there have been an influence on it? Possibly. I also wanted to take note that I don't know if this was the cinematographer, the set designer, who was responsible for this, but particularly in the third movie, I was getting a lot of different movie vibes that already happened. And an example for that would be definitely Maze Runner, with the wall being built around them. Hunger Games, because when they get to this new society, it felt like Mockingjay when they go to District 13. When they get outside of the wall, it looked like a dystopian kind of universe, and then I thought, is this Mad Max Fury Road? As an outside viewer, I should not be able to recall other films, because then you compare them, that's just bad all around. Like, that should not happen at all. That is also something that I thought about Allegiant that I was not really a fan of. Which leads me to my next point. The CGI in this series, terrible. Honestly, I thought the first film, Divergent, they did a great job with it. But as the movies progress, like I said, best to worst, Allegiant, oh my goodness, the CGI in that movie was so terrible. It was off-putting. I absolutely hated the CGI that they did. I feel like they overplayed it too. Like they did so much unnecessary CGI. Little things like that that really bothered me about the series. With technology, especially around this time frame, and it was advancing, you could have done better CGI. All I'm gonna say. There is one thing that my boyfriend and I both agreed upon, and that's we love the fact that there's no love triangle. When you have a series like this, I'm gonna say Hunger Games and Twilight is the perfect comparison examples. Bella had Jacob and Edward, Katniss and Peeta and Gale. When you have movies like this, they tend to have that love triangle just to make it a little bit more dramatic and have more of a mystery and just to get the people interested. We were very happy that there was no love triangle or anything like that within the series. It was Shailene Woodley's character and Theo James' character from the first to the third movie. They were very much in love and they were together, and that was the end of it. I am just a big fan that they had these two characters come together and stay together throughout the entire series. Two more notes that overall, I thought some of the cinematography choices were tacky and awful throughout the entire series. And that's pretty much it. Just tacky is what I would use. And then also the stunts are cool. I like cool stunts. But I will say though about the stunts with the awful CGI and cinematography choices, some of those stunts just looked awful, but others were really cool. So just wanted to note that as well. Now, my last thought and note that I have is I'm a crier. I will cry at everything for no reason. If it's just remotely sad, I will start crying. I didn't cry once during the Divergent series. Now, with two films alluding to the idea of war, you know that there's gonna be deaths involved. People that are supposed to pull at your heartstrings and cause you to cry, I didn't cry at all, and I felt indifferent, and I kind of almost didn't care that they died. The movies just didn't do a great job at trying to create sympathy for their characters. When you create that sympathy and then you rip them away from the audience, that's what's going to create the reactions and cause people to cry and be sad. They did not do that with these characters, and they killed a couple of them, and nothing. I felt nothing for them. That is just probably one of my biggest critiques about the films. Didn't showcase those characters enough to create that sympathy and to create a reaction from the audience who died. So yeah, that was pretty much all of my notes. If you guys want to go more into depth about each of the films and some of my other thoughts, please leave all that down in the comments down below. I want to create a discussion, so let me know if you have any thoughts or comments on these films and you want to have a discussion. That is pretty much it for this movie review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you all for the support. If you liked that I did a series and you want to see that again, also leave that in the comments down below, as well as your suggestions on what you want me to watch. If you did like this movie review or you did like the series, go ahead, give this video a big thumbs up. It would absolutely mean the world to me. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already and you want to see more content. I do post reviews every single week, as well as bonus content twice a month. So stay tuned for all of that fun stuff coming soon. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Live life, always laugh, and enjoy the journey. Bye.